here. We also know that we can win. So I like to put those questions out there. And today's question is about, can Black families preserve wealth? And yes, this is an election edition as well. So everybody put your city and state in the chat so we can recognize you. This is the day after the 2020 election. And as far as I know, the last couple of hours, it's not been called yet. I don't know if anybody has news beyond that. I looked this morning about 9:30. I said, oh, nothing's been called, except for a couple of states may swing this way, may swing that way. And, the polls were off. And, we are where we are right now. I personally am not triggered by either one of them. We are on the path to Black wealth, no matter what. And that's what we're here for. So Tawana, Talisha, welcome.
Morning, good afternoon, yeah.
Good afternoon. Yeah,
Good morning, it's over.
Moving forward, yes, we're not going back anymore.
We are not going back anymore. And you know what? No one can hold us back. No matter what happens, no matter what stats you're seeing, no matter what you're seeing, period, it's up to us. We do have the power to at least get ourselves together, get our families together, those who want to come on board, and those who don't, well, the book and the Preston Cook family talked about that too. So, we got West Palm Beach here. We've got Atlanta here. Atlanta, y'all are a hot spot right now. I heard this morning at 9:30, 9:45 that they're still counting votes in Georgia. So Little Rock, Arkansas, welcome. Tracy saying amen. Well, we're only going to be here 30 minutes today, so I'm going to start the timer here. The question is about, can Black families preserve Black wealth? This is from the book Family Wealth by James Hughes Jr. And we are promoting the Black Family Wealth Challenge. There's a little known tool out there that the family of Colonel Frank Preston, the late Colonel Frank Preston, and Robert Cook used along with this book in order to build their family wealth from $25 per family member per month to 7 figures in cash and assets. We interviewed them on July 30th, 2020, and we were so inspired that we decided to launch the Black Family Wealth Challenge. You can go check it out at familywealthchallenge.black. In the next probably 25 minutes, I'm going to do a deeper dive into what's happening with the Black Family Wealth Challenge. But I do want to have my panelists help me as we talk about long-term wealth preservation. Is a question of family governance. And the question, of course, for the day is, can Black families preserve their wealth? So I'm going to read this paragraph here, and I got to put on my little glasses here so I can make sure I can see everything. Yes, I'm old. But, okay. Family wealth, and this is from page 3 for those of you who are following. Family wealth is not self-perpetuating. Without careful planning and stewardship, a hard-earned fortune can easily be dissipated within a generation or two. The phenomenon of the fleeting family fortune is so well recognized. Vanishing wealth is not unique to the United States. It's also not unique to Black people, according to this. And variations of proverbs around family wealth are found around the world, from Asia to Ireland, even to Africa, we'll say in here. So the first generation starts out wearing clogs, if you're considering it an Irish proverb here, while digging in the potato field, receives no formal education, and through very hard work, they create a fortune while maintaining a frugal lifestyle. The second generation attends university, wears fashionable clothes, has a mansion in town, and an estate in the country, and eventually enters high society. The third generation's numerous members grow up in luxury, do little to no work, spend the money, and fate the fourth generation to find itself back in the potato field doing manual labor. It is a classic 3-stage process. First, a period of creativity. Second, a period of status and maintenance of the status quo. And third, a period of dissipation. So I want to stop right there and give my co-presenters a chance to respond to this, because we also have unique issues that this specific proverb doesn't have. Their Black Wall Street was not burned down like ours, right? Their Freeman Bank was not closed without anybody even, blinking an eye like ours. So we do have unique issues that this book doesn't talk about, and we recognize that. However, even within the United States, I do think that we're able to take the principles within here and figure out how we can do our best to put moats or, plexiglass or whatever around our family and our family fortunes as well. So there is a careful balance there. And that's why I think we need to talk about this book, but talk about it from our point of view as well. So Tawana, I know you're itching. What you got to say, girl?
When, what I heard was the leadership of the family, right? So having that leadership to be able to have a plan, come up with a plan, and then be able to share that plan throughout the generations and not let the mission stop, so that when you get to that last section, they're not back in the potato field, right? So how do you, I think of, you hear African culture and you learn about the griot sitting around and telling the stories of the ancestry and all of that. Like when you were reading, I envisioned that if we continue to share what the mission and the goal is, with all of the generations, even when the kids are little, to explain to them what we're trying to accomplish, then we eliminate the potential of that cycle continuing again. And so it comes down to communication, as most things do, right? Talking about it, being open and honest about it, and truly educating the family as a unit on what the goal is and how we can get there if we stay the course.
Talisha?
I think there is, again, to piggyback off of the leadership, we always have a stressor in our communities with regard to education, but it's what are we educating ourselves on? And we seem to be losing those principles along the way. So it's never the things that we want to learn just because an education requires a piece of paper at the end. That's really not sufficing us. And we've seen this over and over as generations happening. Just because you get a piece of paper doesn't help you or your family at this point. So the education myth, as I like to call it, really does need to shift into what are we educating? The question needs to be another ancillary question. Are you educating me on finances, or did you just educate me on how to get into debt thinking that I would get a job so that I could pay off this debt? That's not education, that's lunacy. So that's these things that we're teaching each other or prompting each other to do. That's some of the cultural things that we're given. We have to unlearn them, or actually now to learn to leverage them in the most appropriate ways. And that, again, is a leadership thing. If you're telling your children that you must go to school, what are you telling them that they should learn? Or how are you helping them go to school? You just keep pressing them. Well, you got to go, you got to do this. For what purpose? What is the intent? And how does that impact me and the family? Where do I fit? Those are the questions I think that need to be answered, except just do this in order to get that. We have this, bilateral exchange where it never needs to be, because it doesn't work. First and foremost, it's never that simplistic, and it doesn't have anybody else involved. So when it's a 1-to-1 ratio, what benefit does it have? We're not talking about it from a generational wealth perspective. You're just you. So you could hustle yourself into oblivion if you wanted to, without really understanding that what you're doing could truly impact your family at this stage, at this point in time, as also now being a residual or a building block or fundamental and foundational to the others that are coming after you. That's what I think, the conversation needs to be changed, and the questions need to be kind of delved into a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that you're right, Talisha. I think that, and excuse me, we have some work happening in the back here in my house. I do think that so our parents did the best that they could. I have student debt still. President Obama had student debt walking into the White House. A lot of us were taught in our age bracket of, I would say 35 to 55, that the only way out, the only way to get into the middle class or stay in the middle class is through an education, going to college, racking up the debt, and then getting the good corporate job. But the 100-year plan that wealthy families do, that we need to start thinking about with our kids and our grandkids even, is how do we prepare future generations for jobs and for opportunities that don't exist today. And I hear Talisha talking about that all the time. It's not just enough, in my opinion, for people to say, go study STEM. It's how do you problem solve?
Mm-hmm.
How do you look and see opportunities? So one of the opportunities, I'm gonna put that in quotes, that I'm really exploring now, and we're closer to getting a law professor to come on and talk about this. I want to know why people spent tens of millions of dollars to get that Supreme Court justice in that seat. I want to know why, because the things that are on mainstream media for the reasoning doesn't seem to make sense to me, and I'm missing something. And I think it's important for us, so I'm 45, for us at our age to be curious and to pass that curiosity on to the next generation and the next generation. Otherwise, you end up selling typewriters in the age of the smartphone. And the smartphone today, I just read an article that said that the iPhone 12 sales were not as expected. So we're looking now to what's the next thing and how do we get on to the next thing. And I think having our family banks and family wealth strategy focused on those types of things, it's what really pushes us forward. And that's how, partially how, a family preserves its wealth. The other thing that I thought was interesting in this section is they talked about lifestyle creep, basically. So a lot of times we hear about lifestyle creep within ourselves, right? But from one generation to the next within the section, they talked about lifestyle creep. It went from, they were, mining the potato field to, okay, I'm going to go to university. That's like generation 2, to, okay, I want the next generation lives in the lap of luxury and spends all the money, and then you end up back down to pauper. How, ladies, do you think we address that? I know you talked about the griot, Tawana, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. How do you think we address that? Understanding that, how do you think we address the lifestyle creep from generation to generation, while still saying, I know both of you are parents, that you want better for your kids than you had, I'm just going to throw that out. Yes.
Well, I don't think better means you don't have to work, right? I don't think, I know for my situation, I wanted much better for my son than I had, but that didn't mean you get to sit around and be a slouch, right? It just meant that we were going to be more strategic about your success than maybe my parents were with mine. That's the better, right? You're not going to struggle, but you still have to work. You still have to make a difference and an impact in this life. You can't just sit around and not exist. And so I really think it's the assignment of responsibility, when you know what your purpose is early on. And as we talk about this family bank and this family business, right, the business of the family, when you know what your responsibility is and what your purpose is, then you can act accordingly. And so, we have to make sure the children understand it is their responsibility to continue the legacy. We set the framework, they continue it. That's that communication, that telling of the story, telling of what the family goal is. It's not just about one generation. That's the other thing. We're doing this for legacy. This is not just about this family unit. This is about the family units to come that descend from this. And I know in my family, we've never had that kind of conversation. It's never been more than just the household. But when you see it as more than just the household, you understand how important it is, and really what you almost walk with your shoulders up a little higher when you realize this is about something bigger than you.
I would echo that in the sense of being a business. I definitely have instilled in my child, who is brand new 18, that there's a business aspect of running your life. So the business of lifestyle is not something that you can, everything you have to work. There is no way of giving there. You have to have an exchange of value in every sensibility. So where do you fit in? You get in where you fit in. So you don't start at the CEO because, first of all, you don't have CEO money, you don't have CEO intellect or prowess, and you don't make that much money. So you're never going to outpace me in that sense, but you have to contribute if you want to be in my business. So where do you fit in? And that's where the education. What do you like? I'm going to make sure that you're doing something that is well within your skill set, something that you're really good at, that is not drudgery for you, because I don't want to manage a person who doesn't want to do that work. I want you to fulfill yourself, do what you need to do, but you also have to contribute. What is that contribution? What does it look like for you? How do you sustain it for you? Because again, if you leave my business, you have to start your own. Don't you want your business to be already starting in payroll? You want you to operate in Black. These are concepts that she's had for a very long time. It's a part of her vernacular. It's a part of how she moves through her life, because she understands that she's the entity. She's the CEO of herself. And she understands, yeah, I'm working for you for a little bit, but my goal is to not work for you. And when you get to that part where you get to see that, yep, okay, it's a collective, you're going to be a vendor of mine. You may even have some collaborative business operations with me, but I'm still going to be this. And then you connect. And I think that's where that shift, even in that small aspect, like, how does this affect us? How does it affect me? What do I get to do now? And what do I get to do tomorrow based upon these decisions? Really changes the game. And again, that conversation starts to happen from a very different perspective, rather than, I just got to get today. I just got to get through today. That hustling that we've done for so long in our businesses, in our lives, truly disservices us every single step that we do. You don't ever get anywhere because you're not even getting to tomorrow. You're worried about tomorrow while you're still in today. So you're just really just creating a non-sustainable work ethic for yourself and for your family if you're doing that.
Yeah, and I think that depending on where you are in life, where your family is with regards to, are you impoverished, or are you middle class? Are you upper middle class and upwardly mobile? You answer those questions differently. So for somebody who is trying to make it to tomorrow, then the next day, maybe you have a 3-month plan. For example, I'm just throwing this out. It may not be enough for you to say, I'm going to build a 100-year wealth plan if you are in poverty and you don't know where your next meal is coming from or what's happening next week. But maybe it's, hey, in 3 months, if I take these classes and I set myself up, I could get this job that is a $60,000 a year job, and at least I could get ahead, right? And then for those of us who are, middle class, then, maybe we are looking at the next 25 years, like Colonel Preston and Robert Cook did. And then ultimately, as we get to upper middle class, we really start putting in that 100-year plan. But everything does have a foundation with it. So the other thing that I want to remind people of is, within the book, they keep saying that there are 3 forms of capital within your family. There is financial capital, there's human capital, and there's intellectual capital. And a lot of families fail to create generational wealth from generation to generation because they're so focused on financial capital that they're not nurturing and placing human capital and intellectual capital in the places and the buckets that they need to be. So, I want to leave that there. I do want to do a quick 5-minute presentation for those of you who are watching who are asking, what is this all about? We are doing something called the Black Family Wealth Challenge. And I'm going to share my screen really quickly, quick 5 minutes to tell you what we are all about. We are the 10K Project. We are talking about a little known wealth tool that our families can use to build 7 figures of wealth, starting with just $100 per family member per month. This started because of an interview that we did July 30th, 2020 with Robert Cook, who's on the upper left-hand side of the page. And he talked about something called a family bank that he and his family started. It's based on the book to the right-hand side of the page called Family Wealth by James Hughes Jr. And in that session, they talked about how they started at $25 per family member per month and grew it to 7 figures of cash and assets, and how we could do it too. They talked about the ups and downs that they had as a family, but how they ultimately became victorious with regards to this. So it's going to work. You may be asking if it's going to work in your family. Is it going to work if you're single? Can you do it with friends? Can you do it to benefit your grandkids? The answer is yes to all of these if you want to participate in the challenge. So you can leverage the challenge, hashtag Family Wealth Challenge, to start your family bank in 8 weeks or less. We're starting off with a masterclass starting this coming Monday, every Monday, 8 p.m. The first session is an in-depth overview of family banks and, this book, what we're going to be doing over the holiday season. Then our second session is with a wealth planner named Calvin, who's coming to talk about creating your 100-year wealth plan for your family. Session 3, we have a family therapist coming in to talk about those hard conversations that we need to have sometimes with parents, grandparents. Sometimes your sister is the issue, that cousin that lived with you from 0 to 18 and they're considered a sibling. What do you do with all of that? And we also have an estate planning consultant coming to talk with us as well. Session 4 is all about how do you set up and how do you do something called governance. Governance is simply how do you operate the family bank. Section 5, depending on who wins the presidency, taxes may be going up for some of us. So there are ways for us to get legal tax deductions. Look, we're nonpartisan over here, but there are legal tax deductions that we get to take as family banks. Section 6 is all about reading your financial statements. This is so vital to any business, and your family is a business. And then Session 7 is once your family bank is set up, how do you operate it, and what kind of investments do you make? We're going to talk about that in Session 7 as an overview. So the total value of the original 90-minute family bank interview, the 7-week masterclass that we just talked about, you're going to get a resource list of accountants, attorneys, estate planning assistants, wealth planners that understand our community. You're going to get a resource list so that you can go and speak to the professionals that you need. You're going to get the original partnership agreement from the Preston family. You're going to get a sample meeting invitation so that when you invite people to the first meeting, you don't have to sit and stare at a blank screen. We have a sample meeting invitation and a sample agenda so you can maximize that first meeting with your family. You're also going to be invited to our private members only Facebook group. You're going to get bonus interviews in January. We're doing 3 of them about alternative investments. You're going to get those in January. And February 2021, we are doing an official book club, 4 sessions for the 4 weeks in February 2021. So instead of calling it Black History Month, it is Black Future Month. The total value of this is $2,200. However, you can be a part of the Family Wealth Challenge for $100. If you are a member of the 10K Project, you're automatically grandfathered in, so you do not have to worry about it. I'm working on your email today so that you can get your swag and all of that stuff. So if all the challenge did was help your family get on the same page about building wealth, would it be worth it? If all the challenge did was suggest that Black professionals that you can work with and your family can work with to set up your next generations for financial success, would it be worth it? And if all the challenge did was gave you a network of other Black wealth builders that are serious and taking action, would it be worth it to you? So again, FamilyWealthChallenge.Black, FamilyWealthChallenge.Black. Today's price is $100 for you to participate in the Family Wealth Challenge. We've also got swag so you can act like a family, think like a bank. When you join the challenge, you will get the link to our Teespring page so that you are able to get your swag as well. And yes, we do have an ulterior motive. So the 10K Project has applied to do something called equity crowdfunding. It is governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA. And equity crowdfunding is fancy term, very simple meaning. It means a whole bunch of regular people getting together to invest in our instance, Black businesses. So when 10,000 individuals invest $100 each into a business, that's $1 million. The community can start funding its own businesses, can create jobs, and can build Black wealth. And you as a potential investor can get partial ownership in the businesses that are going to hopefully and prayerfully be on the portal. We got our check mark from the SEC, and then FINRA. We are finishing up the application this week, and we have very good legal counsel. She has helped other companies get through this process before. And, you know, we have to say for legal purposes, if we are approved, then this is our ultimate goal. So we're doing the Family Wealth Challenge because we want to build the largest community of individuals who want to invest in alternative investments, including Black-owned businesses. That's our ulterior motive. We want to build this community. So again, FamilyWealthChallenge.Black. You come in, participate for $100. There's so many more benefits that I haven't even listed with regards to being a part of the 10K project. But if you come in, it's a one-time payment. And then once you come in and you're part of our universe, you most likely will not be charged for other challenges that we do in the future and other wealth building activities that we do in the future as well. So it's FamilyWealthChallenge.Black. Tawana, have I missed anything from a legal point of view or anything you want to add?
No, ma'am. You covered it all.
Then. FamilyWealthChallenge.Black, FamilyWealthChallenge.Black, FamilyWealthChallenge.Black. Hey, and I got 2 minutes to spare. All right, perfect. So, Talisha, do you have any final comments for the family?
Nope, I think you covered it all, and we just look forward to your participation. There's a lot to learn, and what better time to do it than right now.
Okay. Tawana, final words for the family?
Yeah, same thing. As if this is even remotely intriguing to you, join us. There's a lot to learn, and we'll learn it together.
Yeah. All righty then. So we are going to be doing a lot of a promotion of this next week and the following week in preparation for the Thanksgiving holiday. So if you want to tell, like Willie Jolly says, Lottie Dottie and everybody about FamilyWealthChallenge.Black, we are asking for you to do that. Let your family and friends know. They can get their own accounts as well, because ultimately, if they want to potentially invest in our SEC portion and FINRA portion of the equity crowdfunding, they may need their own accounts depending on how you have things set up within your family and your family structure. So with that, question today was, can Black families preserve their wealth? The answer is yes, and the Family Wealth Challenge can help with that. So that's FamilyWealthChallenge.Black for you to find out more information. Okay. Do we have any? Yeah, I don't see any questions in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great lunch, and we'll see you next time.